Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Tahir Dhindsa. You're watching SDTV. Food is becoming scarce, and there's a warning that typical and terrible hungers are waiting in the cold nights. Not even at a places where the hunger was a routine, but new places. More people are being immersed in the phenomena, and the reasons are very similar, because the food is not available, or it's available and it's not affordable. UN has been very concerned about it. Of late, they've issued many warnings and the systems and advice and so whatnot. We have today with us the country director in Pakistan of the World Food Program, Mr. Kaye. Very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Would you tell us, just in a one or two lines, so we'll then come to Pakistan, what is the global position right now?
It's scary. It's scary because the numbers of people who are in desperate need of food assistance has grown inexorably, really, just in the last year. We now have over 345 million people around the world who are really on the cusp of a desperate situation where they just simply do not have enough food to eat to survive. And that number has grown in 2 years from around about 125 million. So the rise is really
worrisome. It's incremental.
It's incremental, but it's the rise is if it continues at that pace, it's going to become extremely scary for the world at large. I mean, I think it is already. We're already struggling, those of us in richer parts of the world, to afford to put food on our tables. For those people who are vulnerable, and of course there are over 860 million people around the world who live below the poverty line, it is going to be a real challenge for them to get one meal at least a day.
So the culprit is inflation?
The culprit is a variety of different factors. Certainly war has a huge impact on
the European-Ukrainian.
That's just one. But of course, we've got conflicts all over the world. We've got conflict in Somalia, we've got conflict in Yemen, we've got conflict in South Sudan, and so on, in all across the Sahel. And those situations, of course, have a huge impact in terms of the ability of those countries to produce food, to move food around the country freely. And obviously for people to have the jobs that will earn the money that will enable them to buy food. So that's one major factor. COVID, of course, has contributed. But now the war in Ukraine has certainly exacerbated, because we're seeing a significant increase in the price of fuel, which of course is impacting on production in the developed world. It's putting the production costs and the consequent cost of food that is produced beyond the reaches of many. In addition to the fact that that part of the world produces so much food which the world, and certainly the impoverished parts of the world, really rely. And again, they can't purchase it. They can't purchase the fertilizers that equally are coming out from Russia and Ukraine. So there's a whole number of compounding factors which are giving rise to a major global problem.
So how would you narrow it down to Pakistan?
Pakistan is blessed. Blessed. Yeah. It is blessed because it has amazing food production capability. It's been well known, I think, that Pakistan has the capability of being able to feed its own people comfortably. In recent years, that hasn't been the case, unfortunately, for a number of different factors, but some of which are caused by things beyond the control of Pakistan, but others which are within the control of Pakistan. And perhaps the most notable impact of late, of course, has been the floods, which is definitely putting a dent in the productive capability, the capacity of Pakistan to feed its people this year.
Last year, it was the climate change, they say, because over the heat, the early onset of the summer season, right in the middle of the spring, that caused the grain to become ripen so quickly that it couldn't gain weight.
Yeah.
So the yield was about 2 to 3 million tons less. So do you think there should be some plan to factor in?
Well, yeah, and I think the government has actually acknowledged the challenge, and it does have the mechanisms and systems to plan and to prepare for changes in climate. Maybe not to the extent to which we have seen with the impact of these floods, but certainly it made provision to procure 3 million metric tons of wheat
To purchase.
in order to fill the gap which it already foresaw. The unfortunate fact is that despite that provision, the floods have washed away large amounts of storage and the production from last season. So that wasn't predicted and hasn't necessarily been factored into in the same way. So we're going to end up having to import again.
3 million ton more?
I haven't heard the latest figures, but something in that margin.
So
yes,
it's huge.
The production expectations for 22-23, the Rabi season, is somewhere in the region of about 26-27 million metric tons, whereas the requirement is more like 29-30. So we're probably going to be looking at having to import the same amount again.
Same amount. One last thing, if I would like to ask you, I know you just don't know it, but do you think that progressively over a larger horizon, over a long time, we need a massive change in agriculture practices and all that to keep this situation at least the way it is right now?
Yeah. There's many measures that Pakistan can take, to be honest, to improve its productive capability.
And productivity.
Yeah.
Both.
There's a huge amount of food that is wasted, production that is wasted, just in terms of the manner by which food is harvested and then brought to mills, managed in that process, the way that it is stored. There's a supply chain process where there are so many inefficiencies, and these have been recognised by government, both at the federal level as well as at the provincial. But it requires investment. It requires, true political commitment to see that investment through. And there's, good reason to believe that with that right investment, we would not be needing to import 3 million metric tons. That's before you start investing in improved seed varieties, and doing more research in terms of more technological ways of improving productive capability. And there are, again, many recommendations that are out there, but it does require the political will and the investment to see them through. But certainly the capacity, the opportunity in Pakistan is certainly there, and to do much better than it currently is, that's for sure.
Anything last would you like to sum up that by saying?
Well, certainly as somebody who is responsible for the World Food Programme in Pakistan, we do two things. One is to very much support Pakistan and strengthen its own management of its food capability and opportunities of being able to feed its own people. That's fundamental to what we do. But equally, we have a huge operation in Afghanistan, for example. And it's with some pride that we purchase quite a large amount of food here in Pakistan that we can then use to feed our brethren and impoverished colleagues in Afghanistan. And of course, it's much cheaper for us to be able to purchase food from here than it is to bring it in from other parts of the world. So the partnership that we have here in Pakistan for both supporting the people of Pakistan as well as being able to work with the people of Pakistan to support other people in the world is something which is very special, and it makes my job, I think, particularly pleasurable.
Thank you very much on giving us of time. So I think this program doesn't need that I should sum it up at the end. It's very obvious. He said 2-3 things, that there's a plenty of opportunity and that need to be optimized in order to continue to this. He said Pakistan is blessed, and if you want to continue to enjoy that blessing, we need to optimize management, and there are a few other things. That's all for up till now, and we'll come with a fresh program some other time.